Welcome back. And today we will be showcasing the Knave in the newest Abyss that is tailored for a different fire DPS that I will not name drop because she is my op. And yeah, this video is going to be going out a little bit later than usual. I may have stumbled a little bit yesterday, and after I got done with my stuff, I was like, okay, I need to make sure not to hop in VC with all my friends, and I need to make sure I actually record a video or something. And I like phased that out of my mind, like literally like within the next 5 minutes, and the next thing you knew, I was in VC with my friends, and then I just got suckered into playing other games, and then yeah, I wasn't able to record anything yesterday. But for not for I recorded it today after I made like a TikTok or and like, slash YouTube short. So yeah. So very excited to try this character, or tried, after all the hype I've seen about her, like I tried my friend's C2 Knave in the Imaginarium Theater. I was like, you know what? Let me take on like the newest Abyss with the Knave and we'll see what she's cooking. And I will say like this was probably like this was a phenomenal performance. I don't think I've been like this impressed with a unit probably since, let me think, probably like Yalan, like in her like release way back when. Like Yalan was just like amazing, and like I like being able to run Yalan on like every team. I think like 90% of my team comps like consist of like Yalan and like someone else. And yeah, Yalan's just awesome. But we're not talking about Yalan today. We're talking about the Knave. But yeah, I mean, like this team is like super solid, super strong. Like I was just triggering vapes and like left and right, like 100Ks left and right. Like it just felt good. And don't get me wrong, I like Hu Tao, but having to like expend your stamina kind of sucks a little bit. But again, like I was able to get it done, so nothing too crazy about Hu Tao. I think I could have got it done with Hu Tao. I'm not too certain though. Nonetheless, though, still fun to run the Knave. For the second half, I was like, I know you have to use like the new mechanic that Sumeru introduced with like their units. I don't the Night Soul stuff. However, I only have two characters from Sumeru, and that is Shilonen and Kachina. And I know I wasn't gonna use Kachina, so I knew I had to like run a team here, kind of not centered around Shilonen, but something where like she could like just come in, do like her attacks real quick, and then just get out, right? And I was like, you know what? I'll run my Chlorine team. I did just get her weapon as well, so we'll knock this out with like this Chlorine team. Usually I run Yelan instead of Farina, but since I'm gonna be doing a lot of HP reduction and HP healing with Chlorinde, and then healing with Shilonen with her ultimate occasionally, I was like, you know what, like we'll slot Farina in here. I think this will be solid. We'll get some electro hydro reactions going here, and then we'll have Bennett for the rest red, but this boss I haven't fought before, so this boss was interesting too, how it splits into four. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little frightened when I saw it do it. I was like, wait, how do I beat this? Um, but fret not, for Farina and Kazuha and Shilonen will just support my Chlorine all the way through this fight. But yeah, it was an interesting fight. Definitely, I know it kind of sucks that some of these fights are like the first time I'm seeing them, just because like I don't have to farm the boss material, or maybe I just don't find them in the overworld. But anyways, whatever. So for this one, I actually went through it the first time with that Zhang Li team, or with my Knave, Yalan, Bennett, Zhang Li team, but I wasn't able to get all 3 stars, surprisingly enough. Just because like you have to have certain elements for like the flying dog thing. So I went back, I threw Layla on here, and they can never make me hate Layla. Layla's one of my favorites. And yeah, I mean, Layla does what she does. I honestly thought this team ran better with Layla actually than with Zhongli. I think my Layla has more crit rate, so that makes it easier for her to proc that extra energy. And some of these like melts too, like they hit pretty solid. Nothing crazy. The only bad thing is that her shield isn't as good as Zhongli's. But I mean, like again, like by the time my rotation's over, I'm more than likely going to like end up having Layla's shield back up, right? Um, but yeah, this one was like definitely a lot faster with Layla on the team. If only there was another cryo shielder in the game. If only, if only. Uh, but yeah, I mean, this thing again, like I fought this thing for my cloud retainer stuff, but that was like a while ago. And if I'm being frank, I would beat it like a lot faster, because it obviously has a lot less HP. So I really didn't get to see too many of its mechanics. And I guess this kind of ties into like the whole thing where it's like some of these overworld bosses are so like extremely easy that you don't really get to see the full extent of like their abilities, their moveset, their kit, and they just like, or maybe like they do use all that stuff, but because they hit like pillows, like a Zhongli shield's just gonna keep you safe throughout the whole fight, and you kind of just turn off your brain and just DPS it, right? I guess that's like a small complaint, right? When I go into some of these fights, I'm kind of caught off guard, and I'm like, oh wait, what the heck? Like, I didn't know he did that, or like, I didn't know I needed this element. Like, that's the first. And I guess it's like a small complaint about some of the overworld bosses. And I guess it's like interesting seeing them in the abyss because sometimes they, like I said, they catch you off guard. Like this thing I fought a couple times, so this thing wasn't too shocking. But like these transforming dudes, I believe there was an event where you fought one of them and like you had to do it within a certain amount of time. That was the first time I saw one of these dudes. Like these like these little circle dudes right here. And I didn't think they were like too crazy then, and I guess they're not too crazy now, so I guess they're just here to waste time, I suppose. But again, not too difficult on that floor either. I guess the harder part was like that flying dog dude. And then here it cuts back to like my original Knave team, so like this I was actually able to do this with like the normal team, which is like a little more surprising, because it's like the last one's supposed to be the more difficult one. Um, but like I kind of planned around this thing. I knew this was one of those things that steals like your energy and like you're not able to ult. So I knew if like I went in and like so I'm a big advocate for never Zhongli ulting. However, there are circumstances where it works, right? So I went into this fight making sure I ulted on him first to buy me a little bit more time to get some of these ults off for Yelan, right, and the Bennett. So then my Knave can just get to work, right? Because my Knave doesn't need her ultimate. So I was like, okay, like this is perfect. And then this thing is like, I thought this thing was like randomly put in here. I was like, what are you doing here? I feel like anytime a slot needs to be filled, that like machine is there. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know what it's doing, and it was just there. Like I don't understand. This was another boss that took me quite a few tries. I have never fought this thing, and this is the first time I fought it. So I was like, okay, like I'm not quite sure what to expect from this. Let me just hit it and stuff. And this is like after a couple of attempts, I figured out kind of a way to break him before he did like his AoE attack. So yeah, this boss was interesting. It was cool that like it transformed into all the enemies and stuff, and that it had their abilities. I felt though that like if it stayed on the enemies like slightly longer and make this fight like a little more fair and less chaotic, because I feel like it just does one move from the enemy, that the boss enemy that it has, and then it disappears and it transforms into another one. It's like really chaotic, like really fast. Like sometimes like you don't even know what's happening, right? Like some of the times when it transformed into like that seahorse electro thingy dude, I was like, what are you doing, right? Or like when it transformed back into like its normal state, that was like fine, right? Like this thing, when it transforms into this thing and it just flies around everywhere, it's kind of hard to track, and it did kill me once. But I mean, like all the other ones it transforms into aren't very difficult. They're just kind of slow and big, like this horse dude, the big, uh, chicken, like the big, what are they called in Final Fantasy? Chocobo, the big chocobo. But yeah, I mean, not too crazy, just caught by surprise again, right? But again, nothing too difficult. The Knave proved herself to me today. Like she put up a solid performance. My Chlorine put up a solid performance. Like, this is what this game is all about, right? Like, it's just your units getting in there and just grinding out the content, right? Like, I hadn't seen some of these bosses, and my units were like, nah, I'd win. And they stepped up to the plate, and they did what they had to. And it's always fun trying out new units. I think the last DPS I pulled for was Navia, or no, Chlorine, because Chlorine came after Navia, I believe. That was the last DPS I pulled for. And ever since then, I've pulled like Shalona in a support. I tried going for Nahida and lost my 50-50, and it sucks. But anyways, thank you everyone for watching. You guys know the drill. Trolls don't get blocked.